Ahoy there, folks. I'm Captain Benzie, and welcome back to another video for EVE Online. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the latest update from CCP about the new exciting developments coming in the Equinox expansion on the 11th of June. So we've still just about a month away from this new expansion, therefore we are going to be getting more information as time goes on. But one of the things that I was most excited to see about in the notes about what's coming in Equinox were the brand new ships. These are all haulers, but haulers with a difference, and I quite enjoy hauling. Those of you who have watched my videos for a while may know that I'm a big fan of, say, the Mastodon and the Prowler. I like my deep space transports. I like my blockade runners. In fact, sometimes when I get bored, I just fly a blockade runner around, fully laden, to see if anyone can actually grab me, just for the lols. So today we're going to have a look at the 4 new ships coming in Equinox, what they do, how they work, and how you're going to get them, which I think is pretty exciting. If you enjoy this video, please let me know. Take a brief second to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already, and consider dropping a comment letting me know what you're most excited about. Those things are completely free to you and really help the channel out by directing YouTube to show this content to more people. If, however, you do want to go the extra mile to keep me making content like this, come join me on Patreon, drop a donation into my PayPal tip jar, check out my merchandise store linked below the video, and consider becoming a channel member for some really cool unique perks there as well. Anyway, all that said and done, let's jump into talking about the new ships coming in Equinox. I'll put a link to this video in as well. Otherwise, for those of you who are, quite fond of the podcast-style episodes, don't worry too much about what's on screen. I'm going to be reading through the article, adding thoughts and opinions. But if you do just want to treat this like a podcast, go for it. Your life, right? Anyway, EVE Online Equinox, first major expansion of 2024, is coming soon, June 11th. Remember, June 11th. This second installment of the Equinox in Focus series gives you early insight into the 4 new ships. Blah, 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 blah. Tune in to CCP TV on 16th of May at 1600 UTC to get more in-depth information on the new ships. So, what do we have at the moment? Well, we know there are 4 of these new industrial ships. They are Upwell Consortium ships. They are not ore. They are their own unique ship tree. That is confirmed throughout here. The new vessels are the Squall, a base Tech 1 hauler, the Deluge, a sleek Tech 2 blockade runner, the Torrent, a deep space transport, and the Avalanche freighter. Oh yes, some really cool stuff here. So each of these vessels is equipped with a large infrastructure hold, able to store various items essential for owning and upgrading sovereign space. This includes the new orbital Skyhook, the Metanox moon drill, sovereignty structures, and upgrades, as well as other Upwell structures, resources, deployables, and more. Despite their primary role as industrial ships, all 4 boast considerable missile firepower for their size, allowing them to deter potential aggressors keen on plundering their valuable cargo. 2 new skill books are being added to go with the specialized nature of these ships, Upwell Hauler and Upwell Freighter. So this is kind of what I anticipated. It was either going to be new skills or it was going to be a mix of racial skills, like, for example, having Minmatar Hauler and Galente Hauler, that kind of thing. Turns out they are going to be new skills. Upwell Hauler, Upwell Freighter. And then I assume, because obviously Upwell Hauler works for the Squall, the Torrent, and the Deluge, the Torrent and the Deluge being Tech 2 ships will also have the, what's the skill called for blockade runners and deep space transports? Transport ship skill. So it'll be the Upwell Hauler and transport ship skills that you need to go into these at full power. These can be acquired at Upwell Consortium NPC stations. So if you're wondering how on earth you find one of those, best thing to do is go into the search bar at the top left of your screen, type in Upwell Consortium, drop down the station menu, and find your nearest one from there. Annoyingly, not searched by, listed by the order of jumps, but that's how you find it. Find the one that's closest to you, head out there, buy it, boom, done. I'll be getting that Upwell Hauler on day 1. Freighters, I'm not so interested in, but haulers, definitely. Interesting to note that obviously these are hooked into the new nullsec mechanics that are coming as part of Equinox, but not uniquely. They do have their own holds, of course. They've got the standard cargo hold as well in there, but it is worth noting that the Upwell sovereignty hold thing, I forget what that's called there, infrastructure hold, there we are, allows you to control carry the Upwell structures, resources, deployables, and more. So even for those of us living in J-Space, for example, looks like there is going to be a reason to actually fly these. I do also apologize for my throat and the coughing. It's been one hell of a week. The Squall, then, entry-level hauler. Starting with the Squall Tech 1 ship. This ship serves as an affordable entry-level hauler, ideal for transporting infrastructure and reagents. Priced slightly above a Tech 1 cruiser hull, the Squall offers comparable cargo capacity, hit points, and defensive capabilities, enabling it to fend off smaller aggressors or to participate effectively in larger fleet operations. A fleet of Squalls. That sounds interesting. It does say there Tech 1 cruiser hull, comparable cargo capacity, hit points, and defensive capabilities. So it's basically a cruiser that also has an infrastructure hold, such as Skyhook raids. Yeah, the larger fleet operations such as Skyhook raids. So being able to take out someone else's Skyhook and then run off with the loot makes sense to have a hauler on your team. It has Upwell hauler skill bonuses that will boost the infrastructure hold capacity and missile damage, and a roll bonus that dramatically reduces effective distance traveled for jump fatigue. In terms of slots, the Squall has a high, medium, low layout of 4-5-4. So 4 high slots, 5 mid slots, 3 low slots, capable of fitting 3 launches and 3 rigs. So you're going to have 3 launches with a third slot available for something else, perhaps a probe launcher or perhaps a standard not covert ops cloak, something like that you could put in there. 3 launches though with bonuses, obviously from the hauler skill there, the Upwell hauler skill, giving you bonuses to both the cargo hold capacity and the missile damage, which is kind of exciting. I like missiles. Missiles are a fun weapon. We get to use those on here. The Deluge Blockade Runner. The Deluge Tech 2 variation of the Squall trades some cargo capacity and missile firepower for enhanced stealth capabilities. Oh boy, you know you've got me interested when you use that sentence. Including the use of covert ops cloaking devices. Of course, it's a blockade runner. That's the point. Improved mobility and warp speed make it the perfect choice for maintaining your infrastructure on the fringes of your space or operating behind enemy lines. For example, if you're doing a Skyhook raid. It's improved mobility, blah, blah, blah. The Deluge has similar Upwell hauler skill bonuses to the Squall, boosting infrastructure hold capacity and missile damage. Also boasts transport ship skill bonuses, there we are, that's what I was talking about earlier, to warp speed and warp acceleration, time it takes you to actually get into warp, which is pretty sweet. Or get up to speed when you're in warp, rather, as well as reduction in cloaking device CPU requirements. In addition, roll bonuses to reduce effective distance traveled for jump fatigue, allowing the fitting of covert ops cloaking devices and covert sinusoidal field generators, immunity to all cargo scanners, it's a blockade runner, and cloak reactivation delay reduction. The Deluge has a 4-4-2 slot layout, so 4 highs, 4 mids, 2 lows, fitting 3 launches, and 2 rigs. So basically what I said above, and I do really like the look of these ships. I like the basic color palette. The Squall looks cool. I like this sort of, almost ribbed look to it with this cool sort of paneled backing. The Deluge, on the other hand, covering that up with sort of these panels down the side. I love the grey and the black and the blue there. That's a really nice colour scheme. I am very much looking forward to getting my grubby mitts on one of those. Then we have the Torrent. The Torrent, again, looks very similar, but it's swapping the sort of more slate grey colour scheme of the panels for a lighter white. That could just be the colouring of the photo, the camera angles and lighting and that. But it does have multiple larger panels rather than the Deluge having sort of 2 big panels on each side. This has 4.5 down each side. I like the look of these. I really like the look of these. Its big brother, the Torrent, is another Tech 2 variation of the Squall, sacrifices some agility and speed for increased hit points, a larger infrastructure hold, more firepower, a fleet hangar, and substantial bonuses to overheating defensive and propulsion modules, as well as energy neutralizers. This ship is ideal for operations in high-threat environments where both capacity and survivability are paramount. The Torrent has Upwell hauler and transport ship skill bonuses that boost ship infrastructure hold capacity and missile damage, presumably from the Upwell hauler skill, as well as fleet hangar compatibility and shield resistances. Its roll bonuses add to the ship's warp core strength, double the benefits of overheating several modules, as well as reducing the effective distance traveled for jump fatigue. Now, double the benefits of overheating, the fact that they have mentioned newts there, I am expecting this to be quite a scary newt ship. That is quite cool. Missiles plus newts plus hauling. Oh man, this might actually replace the Mastodon for me, mightn't it? Oh boy, I feel almost sorry for my Mastodon as I'm saying this. The Torrent has a slot layout of 4 highs, 6 mids, and 3 low. 6 mids. Yoy, you can shield tank that for days. And it's capable of fitting 3 launches and 2 rigs. So it drops down to 2 rigs, like with the Deluge there, because it's a Tech 2 ship, of course. But wow. Oh, that's a cool slot layout there. Lots of shield tanking capacity. Oh, man, I need both of these ships. I need the Deluge and I need the Torrent. I'm going to be having some fun hauling with these and firing at people. It's going to be great. Then finally, we have the Avalanche. Now, honestly, this is the coolest looking of the four to me, but it's also the one I'm least interested in because it's a freighter. I live in wormholes, deep space transports, and blockade runners are just, le crème de la crème pour moi. But a freighter, it's a bit too big, bit too slow for my personal playstyle. That said, if you're in nullsec or if you're looking to haul around high sec and low sec, freighters are a great way of doing so and getting a shiny new ship that has an impressive cross-beam structure. I love the look of this thing. I'm excited about it still. I'm looking forward to seeing them in space, even if I'm probably not going to fly one myself. The pinnacle of this new fleet is the Avalanche. Not here to, take down the Shinra Electric Power Company, but to, haul stuff. An immense freighter that not only carries a vast amount of resources, but is also the first freighter in EVE Online to feature high-power slots, with enough missile firepower to match most battleships. Oh, good lord. Unique among freighters, the Avalanche can equip Capital Shield flex hardeners and benefits from an enhanced bonus to auto-targeting missiles, making it a formidable presence in any logistic or combat scenario. Yeah, still auto-targeting missiles. I guess it's useful for defenses and that, but still, auto-targeting. It boasts Upwell freighter skill bonuses to ship infrastructure, hold capacity, missile damage, and auto-targeting missile damage. Okay, so it does get bonuses to standard missiles as well. That's not too bad. And roll bonuses that dramatically reduce effective distance travel for jump fatigue, as well as capital flex shield hardener, capacitor activation cost, and power grid requirements, which is pretty cool. Flex shield hardeners, again, I don't really fly capitals. Nice piece of equipment, though, and the ability to fit that to a freighter is pretty darn scary, alongside, battleship class missiles. Oh, man. In terms of slots, the Avalanche has 6 highs, yikes, 3 mids and 3 lows with a capacity for 6 launches. It's a battleship. It's a battleship with a big old cargo hold, a lot of firepower. Oh, man. Yeah, this might get me to train the freighter skill. This may get me to train the freighter skill, gentlemen and ladies and non-binary others. This is going to be the ship that does it, isn't it? It looks amazing. 6 high-power missile launchers. Oh, no. Yeah, I'm going back to my hauling days. Looks like I'm going back to my hauling days. Protect your precious cargo. Side view here of that is the Deluge, because it's got the 2 big panels. Is it the Deluge? Did I get that right? Yes, I did. Deluge. Sweet. In the design of these ships, the intention was to make them not only appealing and useful for those involved in logistics gameplay and maintaining alliance and sovereignty infrastructure. Logistics gameplay here meaning hauling, not the ship repair side of things, shield boosting, armor repairing, that kind of thing. We're talking about actual logistics, moving stuff around, but to ensure they were captivating for a broader audience of players. To this aim, the ships have been equipped with missile launchers that benefit from a substantial bonus to damage, setting them apart from other combat-capable industrial ships like the Procurer, Orca, Rorqual, and Nereus, which predominantly rely on drones. The goal was to enhance these vessels to be exciting and powerful enough to actively contribute to small gang skirmishes, ensuring they are more than just vulnerable targets laden with valuable cargo, which sounds really cool. To ensure that these ships appeal to not only major corporations, but also to individual industrialists, the infrastructure hold has been expanded to accommodate everything necessary for larger and smaller industry tasks. This includes a wide range of materials such as fuel and planetary commodities, making these vessels an excellent choice for pilots seeking a superior alternative to the epithel for carrying out their planetary industry operations. And put a pin in that, because that's my one minor concern with these vessels, which we will come back to in a moment when we get toward the end of the video and I add a bit more personal opinion to things. Redefined hauling experience. Upon the launch of Equinox on June 11th, blueprints for the Squall and Avalanche will be accessible at Upwell Consortium member NPC stations. Remember, type that into your search bar in the top left, Upwell Consortium, drop down the station list, and navigate out to whichever one happens to be closest by the blueprints there. The invention jobs require new Upwell Starship Engineering data cores available in the 4 Empire Factional Warfare Militia LP stores, so Amar, Galente, Caldari, and Minmatar. Additionally, the construction of these new Tech 2 ships calls for the new Upwell components, with blueprints available from Upwell Consortium member NPC stations, using a mix of all the racial components. So basically, you're going to be using the same racial components you used before to make Upwell Consortium components, which will then make these ships using blueprints that you buy from those stations, and data cores, which you get through faction warfare, or through the market from other people doing faction warfare. Whether you are an individual industrialist or corporation member hauling valuable resources across the vastness of New Eden, or looking for large holds to carry the loot and corpses of your overconfident victims, damn, seeing what creative fittings you come up with is a thrilling concept and sure to inject excitement into the cluster. Start gearing up for the adventure by catching the live stream on CCP TV on the 16th of May at 1600 UTC. Pretty cool. I love the look of these ships. I genuinely really like the design of all of them. I think the Avalanche is just amazing in how it looks. I'm, as I said, slightly sad that it's the hauler, the freighter, sorry, but I reckon I'm going to be training freighter skills now in order to be able to use that. On top of which, I think the least favourite for me is going to be the standard Squall, just because it's not as exciting as I like the panels on the Deluge and the Torrent. That said, it's not that I dislike the Squall. I think they're all amazing looking vessels. I really like this silhouette, this kind of split hull and the ridge at the back. It's almost Caldari, as if Caldari was turned sideways, but with sort of a hint of things like the Orca and some of the other Outer Ring expedition ships. It's got references like that, which I really like. It kind of references other industrial ships we've got while doing something completely unique on their own, which, honestly, considering the variety of ships in EVE Online, is not an easy task to do for a design team, so kudos to them for that. I also love the colour schemes that they've gone for on these. I'm excited for a hauler that has the capability of actually firing back. But that is also my concern. Remember that pin that we put in earlier? Yeah, we're going to come back to that now. Why does that concern me, right? Why does that concern me? Well, basically, one of the key things for industrialists is that you are the prey, you are the sheep. And I know that some people take offense to that, but that is genuinely the point. You know, I go gas huffing, I go hauling. I'm not saying that as a negative thing. Heck, even when I'm ratting, I'm technically the prey to roaming PvPers because I'm in a PvE fit ship, not a PvP fit one. I am at the mercy. If I'm ratting in my Loki, for example, it's a PvE Loki. I'm going to fall apart to a PvP fit Loki if it catches me. That's kind of the point of how this works. So there's a part of me that thinks, as an industrialist, that whole cat and mouse of not getting caught is really the big part of this. It's kind of that being completely defenseless and having to fly smart. Yeah, that's what I kind of think industrialists should be. You know, when you're flying a Venture or a Hulk or a Rorqual or whatever, you've got some defenses in the form of your drones and that, but for the most part, you're pretty vulnerable. Your better option is to just run at the first sign of trouble. So the combat capabilities of these ships does concern me. Like, that needs to be balanced pretty well. Otherwise, they're just going to be too hard to kill, and that means that everyone will then just swap into them. Especially since, as it mentions further down here, the hold in these, the infrastructure hold, can actually hold a lot more than just infrastructure, which means there is the risk, there is the danger. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but there is a potential here for these ships to just flat out replace the current ones. And that's not really what EVE Online does. Like, there's usually a good reason to fly all the different ships. Using haulers as example, if you wanted to fly a Minmatar, Caldari, Galente, or a Mar hauler, there are reasons for going for different ones. I talk about this at the exploration level, that I think the Buzzard is the best of the Tech 2 explorers for someone who is still skilling up, because you've got enough mid slots that you can swap into the different relays to actually help you with the fact that you've got lower skills. But once you're at max skills, the other three tend to be better. You're going to get more maneuverability and faster warp speeds, etc., out of the Magnate, the Anathema, for example, because it's got more low slots that are going to allow you to fit for faster align times or larger cargo and things like that. Whereas the Minmatar one gives you more direct maneuverability and sort of faster flight speeds. They all have their pros and cons, right? They all have their pros and cons. So when you have a ship that comes in and kind of does everything that the other ones currently do plus more, it becomes a replacement. And that's not what EVE Online does. Like, again, using the 4 Explorers as an example, it's not like the Astero replaces any of the Tech 1 ships, because it's ridiculously expensive by comparison. It's also not as good as the Tech 2 ships. Same with the Metamorphosis. The Metamorphosis does not replace any of the Tech 1 Explorers, because it just does things in a different way. If a ship came along and had all of the exploration bonuses that you expect from a Tech 2 Explorer, and then also gave it a bigger cargo hold and better fitting profile, and it only cost a smidgen more, it's just going to flat out replace it, because why would you go for a cheetah or an anathema or a Helios or a buzzard when you could go for this brand spanking new ship? And the same is a risk here. Now, I do have faith in CCP, so we will have to see. It does mention that these aren't much more expensive than the base equivalents of like a cruiser. So the Squall is not much more expensive than a cruiser, which therefore makes me think the Deluge and the Torrent aren't going to be much more expensive than the other blockade runners and deep space transports, that the Avalanche isn't going to be that much more expensive than your average freighter, which puts it in a dangerous position. If it's not much more expensive, it can't really be that much better. There's got to be reasons for using these over other ships, and there needs to be reasons for using the other ships instead of these. If it's just, oh, these are better, then suddenly EVE Online moves into the world of power creep. And that is a dangerous place for a game to be. I do have faith in CCP, but out of like complete honesty and openness, that is a concern that I have with these vessels, because being able to fight back with all the talk of them having some rather terrifying shield tank kind of makes you think, if these are that good, if they've got better cargo holds and better hauling capacities than, say, the Crane and the Bustard, then they've also got better tanking capacities than the Crane or the Bustard. Plus, they've got the missile capabilities, which neither the Crane nor the Bustard have, and they're only slightly more expensive. Then what's the point in the Crane and the Bustard? These are just going to replace them. We'll have to see how that goes. And I hope I'm right in trusting CCP on that. We'll see. I kind of trust them because that's been a key design component of EVE Online since the game's inception. And as far as I know, it's never really been broken. I know the Triglavian ships came a little bit close at one point, but they did get sort of adjusted down and recently got adjusted back down again as well to, give it a meaningful choice. And the Triglavian ships are considerably more expensive than their Empire counterparts. So again, there is reason there's counterplay there, right? So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. But for me, yeah, I'm going to be getting these as quickly as possible. When they launch on June 11th, I will be going straight for getting someone to build me a Squall. I'm probably going to have a load of skill injectors ready to go to push straight into the Avalanche to get those new Upwell skills, Upwell Hauler and Upwell Freighter. Let's see if I can get into an Avalanche and a Squall nice and quickly, then get someone to build me a Deluge and a Torrent, and I will cover those to the best of my ability. Anyway, folks, that's about it for this video. Everything you need to know about the 4 new ships coming in Equinox. I'm excited. Are you excited? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions on these vessels. Do you agree with me that there's a risk of them replacing others? Do you even think that's a problem if they do? I would love to know your thoughts and opinions. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Please take a brief second just to hit like on the video. It does massively help us YouTubers out by, teaching YouTube to promote our content to more people. So please, please, please do that. Otherwise, coming up in a second, all the names of the people who support me on Patreon and YouTube memberships. Otherwise, thanks for watching right the way through to the end on this one, folks. Happy sailing, and see you in New Eden.